You're tuned to Planet Vero Radio. I am Cindy Schwartz. This is the Patient Partner Show. We are podcast on Spreaker and distributed on all its platforms. And also we are on 101.7 FM Real Radio WCZR. Jeannie Rollo's talking with me today. Again, my co-host. And Jeannie, you've got the topic today. It's an email. It's a story from someone that had gone to his female dermatologist. And go ahead and tell us what happened. I don't know that I really want to hear it, but I mean, it's legitimate, and it's a person that's had another, I don't want to say a sexual interaction, but that's what it seems like with what this male patient is telling. Go ahead, Jeannie.
Right. Well, I'm on the BioEthics log, Patient Dignity, and I read the stories, and one story was about a guy whose friend had went to a female dermatologist, and for the exam he was told to undress completely or strip naked, and he was given no gown, no covering, and the doctor returned with two females in tow that she did not identify who they were or why they were there. And the guy was horrified, and the doctor said something to me that seemed very inappropriate. She said to him, "Are you embarrassed by having all these women watching?" Something to that effect. In saying something like that, she made the situation sexual. Mm-hmm. And that should never, ever, ever happen. First of all, Cindy, you brought up when we were discussing this before the show that he should have never been given no gown, no
yeah, he should have had a gown. I mean, from the get-go, that's it. Even if it's some kind of paper apparatus that is a facsimile of a gown, if you will.
I mean, a proper exam would be only to expose the area that needs to be examined. Only that area should be exposed. The rest should be covered. Mm-hmm. So, she already broke protocol by doing that. She broke protocol by not introducing to this gentleman who those women were and what their duties were, and did he want him there? Nothing. She just brought him in another ambush attack. Mm-hmm. And, this stuff happens way too often. Patients are ambushed by doctors bringing in other people into the room that they have no idea who those people are.
The patient doesn't know,
when you're in the position of, like this gentleman, being totally naked, mm-hmm. or being even in a thin gown, you oftentimes do not feel like you can question the doctor, because the doctor is standing there in full authority uniform of the white lab coat, and everyone else is dressed except you, the naked patient. Mm-hmm. And they know that, and that's kind of why they do this kind of thing, because it makes them in a position of control and authority.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's our opinion, that he was ambushed. I mean, we say that too because we've been in the situation ourselves, and that's the way we felt. I mean, not to put words in the doctor's mouth or whatever, but yeah, I mean, when it happened to me, I thought it was ambushed. I thought I was being ambushed, and I point blank at that point in the one situation where it was for a heart procedure. I point blank out said to the male tech, I refuse male techs to do intimate procedures. I'm sorry. It's not personal to you, but I'm not signing for that. And a lot of people wouldn't do that. They just stand there, because I've talked with other women. We've talked about it on this show, and we're talking now with a male with 3 female. Who knows if they were techs? The one was a doctor. I mean, I get where this guy is coming from.
Right. You should never, ever have people in the room that you don't know who they are.
Right. Exactly.
That is just first things first. I mean, sometimes doctors introduce high school students or middle school students as a medical student, and that is an outright lie, because they are not a medical student. They are there to observe the doctor and you. They are not a medical student. So, I mean, this has happened more than just once in all the time that I've read. This happens quite often, mm-hmm. that you bring people in, and then after the fact, the person does some research because they know it didn't feel right. So they do some research and they find out who these people are. And, one guy was shocked that he had a middle school student in there while he was intimately exposed. I mean, he was horrified.
And I don't understand how that would even happen in a medical practice at all. I mean, wow, we'd have to do some more in-depth coverage on that or information, because that just, I mean, unless they're there for, go to your parents' job day or something, that doesn't even seem feasible to me. But yeah, you do feel, I mean, I did, but I was to the point then questioning so many things after my original instance had happened like a year or two before that, where I wasn't taking the guff any longer. I wound up leaving that medical practice, on purpose. I had to find a different doctor because the doctor was like, I don't know what your problem is, but that's just the way it is. And we have male techs here doing intimate procedures. And I was like, I think that's totally wrong, but I'm done as a patient. I won't go to your practice any longer. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with it, and I don't agree with being shoved into something that's on purpose. I'm sorry, but I just don't. I don't. And I went to another place where completely accommodated me, didn't have a problem at all. Yes, you should have a female tech if it's an intimate procedure. So I don't get the different dynamics, the vacillation. It's either this way or the highway, lady, or yes, patients should be treated like that. It's just too much of a demarcation line to me for my brain to settle itself as a patient on how the norm should be. What is the norm anymore? I don't even know. Because it happens all the time to me as a patient. And that's why we talk about it here. It happens to you, Jeannie. It happens to the people that we talk on here. It's crazy. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I don't either. And the other thing that is worrisome is that the same guy told about his dermatology exam, and that the transcriber stayed in the room after the doctor left while this guy was trying to dress. He didn't know at the time that this woman was a transcriber because she wasn't identified. But at no time should a medical personnel be in the room while you're either undressing or dressing, unless they are there because you have a specific problem in dressing or undressing.
Absolutely.
But for this to happen, for them to watch you dress or be in the room while you are dressing out in the open, that too makes it sexual.
It does.
These kinds of things shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. And what happened to the patient rights?
Right.
Where's the dignity? How many patient rights have we read from different hospitals? And the first one is patient dignity. That doesn't seem like patient dignity to me. I would like to know where that place is so I could avoid it myself personally. And so people, that's kind of the thing that gets me with this, and why we talk about it on air and on the podcast, is because we can't say that. We cannot say don't go to, Mary Beth blah 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 hospital because this is what's going to happen to you. I mean, that's not, we can't do that. So you can't give the information out to people so they can not go there and stop themselves from being treated like this. Because that's horrible. Right. I'm sorry, it's horrible. I don't care what day of the week it is, and and leap year or not leap year. I'm being funny, but you don't get to be treated like that. I'm sorry, we're human beings, and that is not medicine. And to say that, and I've said this so many times, to have your lanyard around your neck tucked into whatever uniform you have is not proper identification as far as the patient is concerned. I know that probably legally, and I didn't go to law school, this is my opinion, probably legally it checks the boxes that the people are identified, but to me as a patient, call me old-fashioned, call me an old biddy or whatever, that isn't properly identifying who the people are.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, when you think about it, they know everything about you, but yet you're not allowed to know who they are and what their job is.
You are allowed to. That's part of the patient rights.
But they make it so you cannot find that out.
Or if it's difficult. And some people don't know to ask. I mean, some people are so, I don't necessarily, I do anymore, but I wouldn't necessarily know to ask to begin with.
Right.
Right. I feel so sorry for the people. I feel so sorry for them that this is the kind of care that we're paying for. Anyway, Jeannie Rillo, we're out of time. Another good discussion. Keep reading those things, and we're just going to keep talking about it until we can try to get something done about it. Stay tuned. You've been listening to Planet Vero Radio.